Hello everybody, and welcome to part 5 of my Dark Souls 3 walkthrough. At this stage, we'll be doing a few things to make the game easier for newer players, but also give some brand new things to experienced veterans. First of all, we'll be heading to Farron Shrine to my leveling up stages.
What? Ready.
Welcome. Very then taken.
Since I'm using a fire weapon, my scaling doesn't really matter to me at this point. However, at later stages I will be changing.
Well, Ashen One.
Gracious let Iona.
This we picked up all is to purchase fire resin,
Ashen One.
which applies a fire debuff to your right hand weapon, which makes it a lot stronger. And it'll be useful for this next area. Now there are two ways to go at this point in the game. You can head to the Crystal Sage area, or you can head further down into the swamp in the graveyard. In my opinion, going through the swamp area is the better idea. I don't recommend making the run so hard for yourself. I forgot to lower the elevator, so I'm going to go back down. Stand up and go away. Now, down here there's a strong enemy called, I believe he's called a Frost Knight. A Frost Knight? Yeah, that's it. Or an Outrider Knight. He can be quite difficult. You can just run past him if you wish. However, he does give quite a strong sword early on, which everybody more or less uses now. Will apply the frozen ice buff, the frostbitten debuff to your character. If it applies, that means your stamina will only regenerate lower. This can be quite safe if you don't know how to fight this one. Keep it up to the 3 straight sword. Now this sword is quite strong. If you really wanted to, you can switch over to it now. However, it can only be upgraded using Twinkling Titanite. Now this area, I do recommend staying too long in this area, as there's very little good things in this area to pick up, and their enemies can be quite dangerous. I don't typically recommend this for new players, but I recommend just running through this area, as it is quite easy to run through. But at this point I would recommend talking to them. I'm going to go back and use this bone ash, which I haven't used up yet. Yes, do you remember the bone we picked up? Well, go back to Farron Shrine. And give it to this man. If you give him the bone, he will get new items on later on. I'd purchase whatever you need right now. Otherwise, he will disappear. Well, not disappear, more of going to a state of depression. When he goes into a state of depression, you can't buy from him for a little while, so I would do it now. I would talk to her after picking up the ashes, which I will buy a quick guide to get to. Now, if you kill her now, you can get her straight sword called Anri's straight sword. However, I believe it was nerfed.
Oh, hello. This is I will be on we can make the name. Oh, he's took without.
The Blue Sentinels Covenant allows you to partake in PvP, which summons you to the world of another player who has the Boy of the Blue Covenant equipped. These enemies don't do a lot of damage and are easy to backstab. However, their stun locking nature can make them somewhat difficult. I haven't brought it up before, but I do recommend playing Dark Souls 3 with a controller. They will poison you quite rapidly, but die quite soon. There's a free Titanite shard there. Now for an emerald form, which I am, I don't recommend, well, if you're confident, I wouldn't recommend coming here in Amber before, because, well, usually invasions happen if you're playing online. However, I'm playing offline. Do not pick up that sign. Someone's quite a strong NPC. To be honest, it's a bit too strong. That's how. There's an Estus shard. However, now the enemies here are weak to fire, so I have stuck in with the long sword. If you have a normal weapon, you will not stun lock him. These enemies are very dangerous at the start of the game. I'm going to show you the way to get to the halfway fortress. I believe this is what it's called. It's up here. There's two dangerous NPCs that guard this way. You can't fight them, but since these are NPCs and they don't play by the rules of the player, I wouldn't recommend it. The easiest way to kill them is to make them fall off the ladder. Now it's just a matter of finding where both of them are. I recommend leading them away and then running to the ladder. He's stuck on the stairs. So now we're just gonna lead them away a wee bit. You can kind of kite them down a wee bit if you want. However, they can do that sometimes. I would honestly recommend just going down the ladders, waiting at the bonfire, lighting it. Now before I wrap this up, I'm going to try and show you how to kite these enemies down the stairs, or down the ladder. I should not be trying to do this because the AI, as mentioned, has infinite stamina. I don't know why he followed me down here, but he has. This one isn't as dangerous as the great sword, the great club one. The AI has more HP than you in this stage and will hurt a lot more. You can get out of stunlock relatively easily, so don't think you're safe in stunlocking the AI. However, the AI has one thing that you do not, which is almost infinite stamina. However, with proper spacing, you can easily defeat them. That will be all for now, and I'll see you in the next guide.